Welcome to Just Asia, HRC TV's weekly human rights program. These are the headlines. India to introduce death penalty for child rape. Indonesian court sentences Novanto to 15 years imprisonment for corruption. Another transgender woman killed in Pakistan. Cambodian paper Phnom Penh Post sold. Nepal's government aims to reduce democratic space for civil society. Urgent appeals from Indonesia. Welcome to HRC TV's Just Asia. I'm Kavyanjali Shukla. This week, Just Asia begins with India, where the government has cleared an ordinance introducing the death penalty for those committing sexual assault of children younger than 12 years. The ordinance also includes provisions changing the minimum mandatory sentence for sexual assault of children below 16 years from 10 to 20 years. It further requires fast-track courts to be set up and investigations of child rape to be completed within 2 months. The ordinance has come under fire as such a serious change in the law has been attempted without proper debate and consultation in Parliament. The introduction of the death penalty has come under serious criticism and is largely seen as a quick fix and diversionary tactic. The real issue that must be dealt with in India's rising crime and rape figures is the certainty of punishment. And this is only possible when the country's criminal justice system is up to the job of effective and independent investigation and prosecution. Rather than setting arbitrary timelines for investigation, the government should go about improving the policing system. Rather than imposing the death penalty, the government should improve the prosecution and judicial systems to ensure that criminals are in fact adequately punished in a timely manner. Next, in Indonesia, former House of Representatives Speaker Setya Novanto has been sentenced to 15 years in prison for corruption. This is a landmark ruling by the Jakarta Corruption Court. Reading out the court's verdict, presiding Justice Yanto stated that Novanto was found guilty of rigging the electronic identity cards project, causing a loss of Rupiah 2.3 trillion. The court ordered him to pay Rupiah 500 million in fines and restitution. Indonesia's Corruption Eradication Commission have also indicted Frederick Yunadi, Novanto's former attorney, for obstructing the commission's investigation. Yunadi has been accused of manipulation to enable Setya Novanto to be admitted to Medica Permata Hijau Hospital in order to avoid the commission's investigation. The lawyer reportedly asked doctors to change Novanto's diagnosis to road accident, although such an accident had yet to occur. Dr. Biminesh has thus also been named as a suspect in the case. Despite widespread corruption in the country, the Corruption Commission's achievement in this case has sparked public confidence that corruption eradication is possible. Pakistan saw yet another transgender death on May 4th after Muni, a transgender woman, could not provide smaller currency for a 1,000 rupee note that could be showered upon transgender woman invited to dance at a wedding. She was fatally shot. This was the latest of several recent attacks on transgender women in the province of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and the fourth killing this year. The key problem is the provincial government's failure to ensure officials assess transgender victims of attack and hold those responsible for attacks accountable. According to transgender rights groups, victims of attacks are usually subjected to further abuse when they complain to police. The government should thus ensure that local officials, medical workers, and police respect transgender people's rights. Moving to Cambodia, several senior journalists have left the Phnom Penh Post, which was sold to a Malaysian businessman at the weekend. The new owner, Shivakumar Ganpati, is also director of a PR firm which has done work for the Cambodian government. While a statement said the new owner would uphold the Post's legacy and editorial independence, on Monday evening, the editor-in-chief K. Kim Song was fired. Others have resigned or been sacked. The reason was not immediately clear, but several journalists said they had been ordered to take down an article reporting on the paper's sale. The sale of the paper, seen as Cambodia's last independent daily, comes amid an increasing crackdown on media outlets. The Cambodia Daily was last year forced to close after it received a $6.3 million tax bill that it could not pay. Other independent media outlets have also reportedly been accused of not complying with tax obligations. US government-funded Radio Free Asia recently closed its bureau in Phnom Penh, citing a relentless crackdown on independent media. The outlets had often reported on topics such as corruption and human rights abuses that embarrassed the Hun Sen government. Next, Nepal's proposed National Integrity Policy (NIP) has created havoc among non-governmental organizations, international non-governmental organizations, and the wider human rights community. This is because one of its key aims seemed to be to rein in the NGOs and INGOs working in Nepal and shrinking democratic space for civil society. Drafted under the previous government, the NIP was polished among stakeholders in April 2018. As it stands, the proposed policy will create unnecessary hurdles for the NGOs, INGOs, including human rights community in Nepal once it comes into effect. Consisting of 17 different sections, Section 9 relates to the activities and conduct of NGOs and INGOs. In particular, it places restrictions on how these organizations can spend money, what issues they may work on, and requires them to obtain permission before sharing their reports and publications. The proposed policy will thus adversely impact human rights work, including freedom of expression, freedom of association, and freedom of assembly, democracy, and the rule of law. This move by the Nepal government is on par with global trends to shrink space for civil society. Finally, the Urgent Appeals Weekly features two cases from Indonesia. In an update to the case of Mr. Analdi Bahari, who was charged for his Facebook entries, the court found him guilty of disrupting public harmony and sentenced him to 5 years imprisonment and a 100 million rupiah fine. During the trial, the judges ignored all evidence submitted by Analdi and only considered that presented by the public prosecutors. Also, in Indonesia, the police attacked 6 public lawyers from Yogyakarta Legal Aid who attempted to meet with students arrested and detained at the police office. The students and one other person were arrested on the commemoration of 1st May 2018 International Labour Day. That is all for this episode of Just Asia. For more on these and other issues, please visit www.humanrights.asia or www.alrc.asia/justasia. Thank you for watching and see you next week.